You are listening to Happy Jacks RPG Podcast. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon. Why, hello, and welcome to Season 28, Episode 19 of Happy Jacks RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
In this episode of Happy Jacks RPG Podcast, Nicholas writes in about theater of the mind in different games.
Yay!
And Axel writes in with a success story.
Yay, success stories.
But first, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. We need emails.
Emails!
And if you'd like to watch us live, we're on at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday mornings. Ish. And then we will be until sometime in the future.
Yeah. Stu's daughter's doing sports now, so Friday evenings are busy with lots of sporty stuff.
Friday away games, and yeah.
Sports ball.
Yeah. Volleyball.
Volleyball's very exciting. I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, and she's having fun. She's got a lot of court time.
That's great.
Okay.
You want me to start?
Yeah,
okay.
go.
All right, so we're starting shows with advice now, like GMing stuff. One thing I really love to talk about, and one thing I'm a big proponent of, is breaking the do not split the party rule. And if you've seen,
You're a monster.
I know, but a lot of you have seen me GM, and this is one of my favorite things to do. I love having the group split up. It's hard for games like D&D. Games like D&D are mechanically built for the party all to be together for combat. So splitting them up in other parts, if you're playing other systems, my mask game, I think there were twice a session where everyone would be in the same place at the same time, if you go watch Eidolon Academy. I love it because it feels very cinematic. I think long time ago in another lifetime, Kimmy went to film school for a little while, and I was into editing. I really loved taking things and splicing them together so they made sense in a sequence. So, what?
I see where you're going.
Right. Okay. So my advice in handling this is not to just make the rule, because you get people shoehorning themselves into scenes that it doesn't make sense, where they really would go somewhere else. Is to cut it apart. The thing you really need to do is watch soap operas if you really want to pace this out correctly. Stop laughing. I'm serious.
Not for acting advice.
Not for acting advice. No, but for how they focus on one scene for a minute when they cut it off to move to another scene. A lot of GMs make the mistake of finishing a whole scene before cutting to the next one. That gets long, that gets boring, that's hard for the people at the table who aren't in that scene. What you need to do is you need to cut it off at those amazing pivotal moments like a soap opera does. So it's they have their, I can't believe the baby was really Maria's the whole time. Oh my gosh, and they talk for a minute, and then she's like, but wait, the baby's really mine. And it's the moment you're wait, what's going to happen next? That's when you, as a GM, are okay, we're going to stop there. What's happening over here as that's happening? And that's that key moment where you pause. Those two people are filled with anticipation, or however many are in that scene, are filled with that anticipation, excitement. They're not going to get bored while you're moving to this next scene. And the people who are now you're focusing on are oh man, I can't believe that. Okay, how are we going to what are we doing right now? And they're thinking about how their characters are going to be wrapped up in that as soon as they find out about that thing.
Right.
So that's my advice to you. Move on. Like Stu ends games often on a really great cliffhanger. Those are the moments where you want to not end a scene, but cut away from a scene and then go to another scene and then come back. You just declared that you were really the mother of the baby.
Right.
What's happening now? And then it's so easy for them to pick back up in that moment. It's sometimes given them a few minutes to really think of something awesome to do next. And it keeps the flow and that excitement and the anticipation all moving, because it works just that's why TV shows and especially soap operas are cut that way. If you were to actually watch, if you cut all the scenes for one storyline of a soap opera all together in one show,
you would see how mediocre
it's
the
so
storylines
boring.
really are.
It's so bad. Like, most of it is people standing in a room talking to each other.
Sure.
So if you just sit there and watch, like, the same people talking for the entire, however long the soap operas are, half hour, it's so boring. The thing that makes them exciting are those cutting between these ABC. That's what they call them in the business, is ABC storylines. Mm-hmm. So you see this all the time on Star Trek and stuff too. So A storylines are like the big, oh, we're saving the planet, or oh, this alien disease is running through the ship. The B storylines are like Troy and Worf going on a date, and like, oh, no, they're fighting about something. Are they gonna? What is gonna happen? So those are like the more the character storylines that are happening through the arc. So yeah. Anyway, that's my advice: is don't play out the whole scene and then cut to another scene if you're the GM.
When you're split.
When your party's split. So find those awesome, cool, exciting moments and stop there, and then move to the next one. And be aware of your time and be like, oh, okay, and try and keep it a little bit even.
That's the biggest problem with party splits, is when you have those types of players that are like, okay, now it's my time, and we're going to sit here for a long time, and I'm going to talk about all kinds of stuff, and maybe get into combat and all kinds of things. Meanwhile, you've got 3 or 4 other people who are sitting around doing literally nothing for 45 minutes or an hour.
Right.
Which, when you add it up, it's like 3 or 4 hours of time in people time.
Yeah, but those people are the same people who really love having that moment that people are going to remember, and cutting away from it just as they have that moment puts an exclamation point rather than a period on it.
Right.
And then they know it'll be a few minutes and they'll be back, and they will appreciate the time to think of something even more awesome to be.
Excellent. All right.
So anyway, that's my advice about that.
I'll give you the applause.
Oh,
Where's my applause?
No, you totally just deleted it. Oh, no, you did.
No, I didn't.
Thank you.
It's really quiet.
Elbow, wrist, touch the pros and benefits. That's how the princesses wave at Disneyland.
We've got a microphone rubbing against something.
Oh.
I've heard it twice now.
I'm sorry. I think it's my my headphones rubbing against the microphone.
Okay.
I'm a little out of practice with this. I'm sorry.
Theater of the Mind in Games from Nicholas. Hi, gang. Here.
Hi.
Have some content.
Yay!
Why, thank you, Nicholas.
We appreciate
My
content.
goodness, that makes it much easier to do the show every week.
I appreciate good-sized content.
Absolutely. When I play, not to say GM, I always filter what's said and done through my own theater of the mind. Whatever actions the other people do, I try to fit them into my own personal narrative. I've found 4 recurring play styles that often clash. Most games that I am in contain a mix of these, as any single player may flow in and out of them. They are the realist, not playing the setting, munchkins, and goofballs. The realist. I personally lean hard into realism, knowing every little item carried and fear death above all else but spiders and public speaking. Wow, that's realism. My PC would drop everything if he thought it'd better his chances of outrunning a threat, no matter what the rules say. Not playing the setting. Is this like playing a ninja in a fantasy game?
That's why he left the definition there, so you to read it. And
One on and off player wanted high fantasy. We weren't playing high fantasy. He mainly achieved this through cheating, which is crossed out, bettering the odds. One striking example would be trying and succeeding to stand on horseback while galloping through the enemy hordes, jumping from horseback onto the chieftain for an epic one-on-one. I was just a tiny bit jealous.
Okay, to be fair, that's the thing people do in real life. It's called vaulting. It's a whole horse sport. You do all crazy wild tricks on horses, and standing on a horse while it's galloping is a thing that many real people have done in the world and in history.
And it's also a common tactic to take out the commander of a force early on, even though it pisses them off.
Yeah.
And all generals get pissed off by that. They're like, well, that shouldn't be targeting us.
No. I'm just wearing this bright uniform for looks, not actually to be targeted.
Way over on this hill, way over on the end. purveying the battlefield. Munchkins playing the
I'm
min-max.
sorry, you made the mistake of including a horse example, so I had to correct you. I'm sorry. Actually, but yes, we get the point. High fantasy stuff. Yeah. Continue.
But that's like real too.
Yeah, no, it totally is.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that there were other high fantasy like examples that he just
Like swinging from chandeliers.
Yeah.
You swing from a chandelier, there's fucking things coming out of the roof.
Absolutely.
That's what happens in real life.
Yeah. So it's a poor choice with me here. If Stork was here, it would have gone over fine.
Playing the min-max game. To control a soulless mini with the sole ambition to win the game with better gear than they started, even if it requires talking to get past a guard. Goofballs. I've had players slipping into full comedy mode, breaking all immersion for a cheap laugh. This is the one and only. This is the only one that is hard to justify, even if they succeed with their comedic endeavor. This brings me back to the topic. To make a narrative more cohesive, I do tidy up events. If a player had to leave early and his character runs on autopilot for the remaining time, I'd make up a reason for this, dialogue and all. This is my headcanon, which I need not share with other players. An example would be the min-maxer making an ineffective character and losing the fight. He stops enjoying the game, wanted it to end so he could play something else. But my headcanon was that he was depressed from watching his close friend get killed. Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay. This is a brilliant idea. Old news that everyone does to some extent, or a terrible or disgusting or coping mechanism. I miss a fifth offended. Did I miss the fifth? There was an image there, I guess.
Yeah, there's an image.
Love you 3000, Nicholas from Stockholm.
Love you 3002, Nicholas. I feel like this is something like a lot of people have to play with groups, especially depending on where you live, like that are a little bit more mixed on what people are after.
Right.
So yeah, I have done this too, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to explain this to myself in my head, and this is how my character is going to react to this. Sorry, stupid. I'm just going to take it off. This is how my character is going to play with what they did as a choice. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a good coping mechanism. I don't think it's a terrible idea. If they hate it, if they're like, that's not what my character did, then it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna totally still think that's all right.
You just think it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's a coping mechanism. Yeah. Also, possibly a way of avoidance.
Yeah.
A method of avoidance.
So yes to both.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to sort of fill in the details in your mind.
Right.
Because, we do that anyway when you're playing a game. When someone starts describing a scene to you, you start filling in the details, even the ones they don't mention. You start when you initially set a scene, okay, you're in a typical tavern. Everyone in their brain goes, okay, I kind of know what I think a typical tavern looks like, right? Yeah. And then you start describing things, and then it sort of changes the picture in your brain, but you fill in a lot of details that never get mentioned to you. So this is to basically ascribing the same sort of thing, except to a physical space, to the motivations of a problemed player.
Yeah. And so I wouldn't blame you for it. And I also kind of like your definitions. It's hard to play with all of those at the same time, though.
Which is your least favorite of the four?
I don't know. It sort of depends on the flavor. I would say, not with a different example than this, I'd say not playing the setting.
That's mine too.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
That's almost a pet peeve.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, like fine. Like most of the time when I see it, it's people in like a fantasy setting like that who want to have like weird technology.
I want to invent gunpowder.
Yeah, you're like, what? No, don't do that. Stop.
I'm going to take my modern understanding of physics and make something that my character would never think of.
Yeah, I Googled gunpowder and I know how to make it now, and so my character is suddenly going to discover this thing, and you're just like, no. So I don't know. I think that's the most annoying one. For realists, okay, people really enjoy that. Like, okay, that's not my cup of tea at all, but like Nicholas likes it too.
Right.
I think you can be a realist. You just have to, at a table with other non-realists, you just have to kind of be a little flexible. And it really depends on the GM. If the GM's like making everybody count their arrows and all that stuff, like that's what the type of game it's going to be. So that the GM really sets the tone
Sure.
for that. If the GM's not making everybody count your stuff and you are just counting your stuff, great. Like that doesn't hurt anybody. That's fantastic. The Munchkins, I mean, I've played with Munchkins who are also good role players. So I think you can. I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive. It sometimes is a little annoying in combat where they just like wreck everything and you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Or it takes them forever and they don't wreck everything.
Yeah. That's also annoying.
Okay, you're a bad Munchkin.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can actually call them Munchkins in if they don't actually do a good job. They're trying. They're just a failure.
It depends on what definition I think you're using for
That's
Munchkin, because if you're using like the Steve Jackson Games definition of Munchkin, a la the Munchkin game, I think trying to play the rules, like play the rules, not like follow the rules, but like game them, and doing it poorly could totally fit into a Munchkin thing.
That's possible. Yeah, totally.
It's the intent.
Yes.
It's not your ability. It's your intent.
Yeah. Goofballs are a very close second, I think, to annoying.
It depends what kind of game I'm running.
Yeah, 100%. There's a difference, I think, too. It's like, this is one of the reasons I have trouble watching a lot of streamed RPGs, because people are trying to make it entertaining. I totally get that, but it also really pulls me out of it when I'm listening to it like a story, and suddenly, I mean, we do this too. We do this all the time, so I realize I'm being a total hypocrite, but. Like it pulls me out of the story when suddenly people are making completely like jokes that are completely not related for a joke. When it seems like it's to pull attention,
right?
Not that it's like, hey, I'm at the table with my friend. This is a very funny joke between the two of us, or like those I don't mind so much. Or if it's a joke about something that happened in the game or something their character said. Like, yes, duty is a funny word. If you laugh at that, I don't care. That's fine. I understand.
It's like taint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Like, okay. And so a bunch of people are rolling their eyes at us right now going, oh my God, we won't ever get over that. But but those sort of at least have to do with what you're doing. I don't mind jokes like that so much. But if it's like, I don't know. The pulling focus on me, like, those annoy me.
Yes. I mean, like, I ran two games that, well, the vampire game ended up not being, no, it was pretty dark. The ending was pretty dark.
Yeah.
Because it's like, and I don't know if
Spoilers?
I haven't put it up yet.
Okay, you shouldn't say anything about it then.
But Pooja, like, wrapped the game up in a bow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's awesome.
She's good. She's so good.
Yes. But, and it was a dark ending, but I mean, everyone had fun, and it had sort of a light-hearted feel to it, but it was definitely dark shit was happening. But I'm really looking forward to running the GURPS game because I've told all the players, I'm like, this is going to be a goofy game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still going to be a like quote unquote high fantasy game where you're going to have all kinds of crazy monsters and stuff, and there is a plot. I don't know if you guys are going to follow it or not. I really don't care, but I'm not looking to have a game with that this sort of dark content like you would have with Call of Cthulhu or things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking for a lighthearted, goofy game.
Absolutely. I think we all need that. Like, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons with Murmurs, it took us so long to finish that, just because it's such a dark time in real life.
Oh yeah,
like,
and what a coincidence when it's like, I'm gonna have a game that's based around Hastur.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be about a bunch of people who are gonna be trying to spread all kinds of infectious diseases and plagues all over the world. And then, boom! Thought that was funny, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Oops.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could tell the future.
What do you do?
The studio would be very different.
Well, I am from the future. I'm not allowed to say it.
Oh.
I am from the future.
Yeah, I believe you. Totally.
There's someone on TikTok who puts up predictions, and they're hysterical. Some of them. It's like, I keep trying to convince people that I'm from the future. It's all text. It's not like someone's video. It's like, they're from the future. Here are some more predictions. Da-da-da-da. And it's and some of them are like just nuts. But it's like comedy.
Okay.
No, it's like, well, some of them aren't, but it's like, I don't even remember what it was. One of them had to do something with like an ice cream parlor or something. I don't remember.
Okay.
But it was funny.
That's very funny.
I also love watching those Russian dudes dressed in the LED suits dancing.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that shit?
Yeah,
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah. There's, all the best stuff on TikTok gets to Twitter eventually, so I see all the best stuff. So.
That, and then there's this dude. He's Asian, and he does these like stunt things. And he chants something, and I don't know what it is because I don't know. I'm not even really sure what language he's speaking. But he will do these like crazy ass things where he'll take a hoodie and he'll like put his legs through the arms of the hoodie, and then put his arms through the arms, and then put his head in the thing, and then try to balance on a balance ball. Just like all kinds of, and he falls all the time. I mean, he always. Sometimes he hurts himself, sometimes he doesn't. But I love watching that guy.
Yeah.
I followed him. I like everything he does.
He appreciates that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Success story from Axel in Germany.
You know what? If there's anyone out there who plays RoboCraft on Linux, and you want to start a clan, email me. It's a fun game. It's a really fun game.
We just got done talking about goofballs who pull attention and are off topic.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
People listen to this, and there's probably people who play that game. It's a very popular game amongst the Linux crowd, I'm told.
Yes. Are you part of the Linux crowd now?
No, I am not, but it's a really fun game.
Okay.
And it's not it's not like high res or anything like that. Zachary's like, those graphics are very good. I'm like, Zachary, yes, you're right. But the gameplay is fantastic. Because you build robots. You got like little blocks, and you put legs on them and build stuff, and you can there's tech trees to get better weapons and stuff. And I just got chain guns.
You just have to remind him of how many years of his life he spent in Minecraft, and I'm sorry.
And still does.
And still does, yeah.
Well, Allie will never misses the Minecraft champion.
Yeah.
What is it? Minecraft Championship, I think they call it. Where they build these like custom things, and they have all these Minecraft streamers come in and But for her, that's like I get flashbacks to my dad watching football games on Sunday morning.
So exciting.
Anyway,
all right. Hi Stu, GM success story. I have successfully stolen your setting from the Mode of Sin game. I play in Vampire 20th Anniversary Edition as well. Attached, see my interpretation of the island map. I renamed the place to Brigatin Island. I don't know what that means. Brigantine? Brigantine. Brigantine. Island. Added a few things here and there, but I'm sure you will recognize the place. Also, I have recreated the newspaper that initiated so many plot lines. Yes, in German, but I'm sure you'll see a few familiar things.
Yes.
As they say, professionals steal. We have just played session 14 via Zoom. The group are my oldest friends. We didn't play for ages due to lockdown, but an easy entry into a great setting motivated me to GM again, and we're having so much fun.
Harumph.
Of course, the plot developed completely differently from your AP back then, which is completely fine, but it's so good to be able to settle into a wealth of an existing background, NPCs, and plot hooks.
Excellent.
So yeah, instead of running this game off a module, I'm running it off of one of your APs. So far from fully original, but hey, who cares when you're having fun? Thanks for the motivation and inspiration. Axel, German in the UK. P.S. Caroline Osterman in my setting was, of course, a powerful mage from the start.
Mine too.
That is so cool. I love that.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear how what the changes, what differences, what
they
did,
what
the players' decisions, how it changed the direction of
the and hopefully he's the only. Well, I hope all of them listen to our podcast, but. That I think it's cool that he might be the only one, so they don't necessarily know all this stuff.
Right.
It's so funny, like having people play in worlds that like you've played in, and it's very interesting.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's kind of the same when you play like the L5R when we would go back as different characters into that same world, It's always interesting. It
Makes
feels,
it seem richer because the history you've experienced the history.
Yeah.
And it's not just something the GM just made up. It like happened, even though it was still in the game, but but it transpired.
Yeah. I was actually watching last night. There's this amazing documentary about the making of Final Fantasy XIV, which I promise I'll tie in just a second. That's their online MMORPG one. And the interesting thing about this is they...
Did it have another name?
Eventually it did, but they released it, and it was terrible. It was really bad. So they eventually got someone to come in. They patched the current one and rebuilt a new one at the same time, like parallel. Then they had a cataclysmic event that destroyed the world in the MMO, and that's when they launched the new one. And they took everyone's characters. They had a whole thing where, like, everyone's characters were saved by this mage who cast this spell and sent them to this other place.
That's awesome.
It was so amazing. It's so good. And Final Fantasy XIV is really popular right now as WoW is waning due to many, many reasons. But a lot of people are playing it. If you haven't played it, you should try it. But it was really interesting. They talked about that in the game, and MMOs are starting to have kind of that same sort of thing that you were just talking about, an actual history of the world. So this is a big event that happened years ago now to players, and fewer players were actually there to see it.
Right.
You know, as new people have joined, it's now like got millions of people. I think it's the most popular MMO in the world right now.
Is it really?
Yeah, it overtook WoW.
No shit.
Yeah, people are mad.
Now, is it as old?
No, WoW's been out for longer, but with all Blizzard's drama, and like nobody wants to give them the money anymore.
Right.
But so it's interesting hearing that one of the devs was talking about how, like, even though they have all this made up lore of the world, the things that really happened have also become part of the lore of the world. And that's interesting. Like, you have that with campaigns that you revisit or that other people have started. You're seeing this right now with Abria. She ran a campaign for Critical Role, and she used Critical Role's world, but it was like another time in that history.
Right.
So there were like tie-ins and stuff like that. It's amazing how the richness of these worlds, whether it's an MMO or an RPG, and our L5R campaign, and Eldamy, like, get this mix of made-up history and things we did in this that are now real history, like Carolyn Osterman being a powerful mage, and all the history that comes with that choice.
Right.
I don't know. It's just a fascinating kind of like study into human interaction and how we create stories.
Well, it's like in the GURPS Eldamy game I'm going to be running, it's going to take place 10,000 years before the last time we had an Eldamy game.
That's so cool.
So this is back when the Empire still existed and is just starting to crumble. That's how the game is going to start. But I'm also taking kind of going back to what it was originally, the original Eldamy, when like it wasn't like just a plug-in for a D&D game. Because so like one of the things that I've always thought was cool was elves being a dying race.
Yeah.
And the way I sort of in the back of my head figured that happened is that a pair of elves can only have one child. So every generation is half the size of the previous generation. They live a super long time, but they do eventually die. They get killed, or they fall off a truck, or well, get hit by a train. But whatever. And then slowly and then like the children become like not just precious, but like super duper precious. You are like the last few remaining ones of us. And pretty soon the planet will not have any of us, but you're it. So no, you can't go out adventuring.
Yeah.
But in the game that I'm going to start next month, they're already gone. So the remnants of their civilization is out there, but they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
So it's basically all people. I'm coming up with something like kobolds. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be yet, because I want some sort of like tiny menace, which is like dangerous, but also it's like I don't want like all of my friends to think I'm like taking these things too seriously, but they can fuck you up.
Yeah.
So,
especially in large numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
So, but there is one spot where there can be an intersection between this current campaign and the last campaign. Not the last campaign, but actually the original one, the one before we started recording them.
Yeah.
Because you know the moment I'm talking about.
I think so.
That's one where you guys had one of those the glass orbs for the skipping mirror, and it was like kind of fucked up. Let's try it anyway.
Let's try it anyway. No problem. Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah.
Who are all of these people? I think I know what just happened. Oh fuck! So.
We made so many bad decisions in that campaign. It was good though.
But you made decisions.
We did. We did. We made them. We made them hard.
That's right. You leaned into them.
We did.
What I think is a fantastic thing. Do you have a world building idea?
I actually I did. I wanted to do like a lore element about the world, where instead of like songs are a thing. But there's this very specific type of like bardic practice in this world where it's more like a spoken word chant almost, and that's how they pass down. Like it's not melodic. It's very repetitive. That's how they pass down like some of like great oral traditions. Like that's how they would have passed down their Iliad and their Odyssey and things like that.
But they're sort of chanted almost like a but Gregorian's musical.
Are musical, yeah. It's very like sort of similar to that, but without the melodic piece.
Okay.
So, like if you've heard spoken word poetry, except a little bit more monotone, it's like a very clear recitation of this is this story, and it's almost. It's not religious, but it's almost like a sacred event. So when someone starts this, like people come and they sit and they like pay very rapt attention. So it's expected that you would do that because it's so important to listen to these specific stories.
And these are like creation myth stories or like historical.
More historical things because it's not it's not tied to the religion at all. But there definitely probably have been politicians and jerks who've like tweaked them and used them for their own purposes.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, amazing. Used for propaganda? What? People don't do that.
Oh. Okay, I think if I have one. I didn't come up with one.
Aw,
See, the problem is I keep stealing stuff that I'm putting in my GURPS game.
Yeah.
I could. No, I don't want to do that.
Just think of one right now. Think of one that you used in something else. What's something that you did in Vampire that you could make into this setting?
In Vampire? I don't think there's anything in Vampire I could use in a fantasy setting. It was very modern. Trying to think.
Well, add in something about, are there Fae in this world yet? You did a really good job with Fae in Vampire.
Oh, yeah, they scared the shit out of you guys.
Yeah, they did. They were very scary.
No. You know what? I'll add a religion, and this is something that I was thinking about adding, and this would be like an animism type religion. So it's more of a belief system, non-deity, but every living thing that isn't a person has a spirit inhabiting it.
Okay.
So every tree, every bush, every animal animals maybe animals have some sort of spirit thing in them that's like a soul, like people would have.
Okay.
But in all things there is a spirit that lives in it that they give them gifts and things like that. So there.
Oh, yeah, very good. Absolutely.
That was because see the religion because the GURPS game is going to be an empire. They did the same thing the Romans did, which is, oh, you like your religion? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah, we'll kind of add it all in together and make it all one big thing.
Yeah.
It's sort of like what the Catholics did with certain pagan traditions.
Oh yeah.
It's like, we have that. Sure.
Yeah, Jesus was born on that day. Amazing how that's a coincidence. totally amazing how that was already a holiday.
But I mean, the religion
Easter.
in the empire is like it's a mess.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a bunch of different pantheons.
Absolutely.
And they overlap. It's like not just like the Greek and the Romans and the the Norse, and you have all these different regions where you have. And some of them, if they're close by, they're similar.
Yeah.
Their pantheons are similar, but they got different names. But some of them are like wildly different.
Super far, yeah.
So I started.
I mean, we're talking about Egypt and then like the Celts.
Yeah.
Like totally,
Yeah.
like completely wild differences.
But it's very strange that so many cultures came up said, no, there's a pantheon. There's a god of this and a god of this and the god of this. And I wonder why we did that.
That makes so much more sense to me, though, than people coming up with there's one God who does everything.
But it makes it for a very busy religion.
Yeah, but it reflects human society. You don't have one person who does everything. You have one
That's true.
person who makes the food. You have one person who goes out and hunts. So it makes sense that
That's true.
that kind of reflects that.
So the gods they believe that many hands make for light work.
Right, exactly, and that's why in a lot of these religions, like especially polytheistic religions, not universally, but they're very human. They fall in love. They get jealous about each
Right.
other. They have babies. They cheat on each other a lot.
So
Have sex as swans.
they had the religion, the official religion of the empire is called the Fold, right? And it's literally everyone's religion.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
Because like clergy are like, oh, you need that ritual?
Like Stu coming
Flipping-
up with something
flipping-
for our campaign.
Right.
bill
Flipping through a
setting.
book when let's see. Okay. I need a burnt offering. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, it's
And
fine.
this is a priest, right?
Yeah.
Of the religion.
Yeah.
Because it's just too much for anyone to have memorized. And it's all, obviously, it's all very regional. Certain areas, they know what they're doing with regard to their pantheons, and others they don't. But people travel, and I'm figuring most of the land is settled at this point. There's some areas that are kind of unexplored, but
Now, just to be clear, this is for your setting for your game.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We're cutting this off. This isn't
Right.
for the setting for this. I have a question about the thing for your setting here, though, before you continue to steal
Yes.
from your campaign.
Right.
With these spirits that are in all these animals and plants and living things, can like the humans can some of them contact it? Can everybody contact it? Can nobody? Is this just something they believe in?
some of them can contact it, them,
Okay,
or
them.
they say they can,
Ooh, okay, nice. I like that.
but who knows?
Yeah. But I just wanted to make it super clear where
Very
our
difficult to know if someone's talking to the tree, unless
yeah.
you speak tree.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make it super clear where our campaign building as a podcast endeavor was starting and ending versus
Yes,
Stu
they're totally
ruminating on his setting for his upcoming game.
Yeah, it's and I came up with, I can't remember what her name is. I came up with a woman version of Bacchus. I can't remember what her name is,
That's very cool.
but she's always pictured holding like a goblet of wine and clutching her pearls. It's like,
That's awesome. That's very funny.
but
That's a good-
she's basically the equivalent of Bacchus.
Yeah, that's
At
hilarious.
least in the region where the game starts.
Yeah.
So because the only reason she exists is because there's a tavern called So and So's Spleen, which is the tavern where the game is going to start. Because of course the game is going to start in a tavern. The other thing,
Yeah.
I'm running as, what's the term I'm looking for? When you're constantly pulling from current cultural references. I can't think. Stereotypical. The stereotypical high fantasy role playing game. That's what I'm trying to run. So if a party wants to go out and beat someone up and take their stuff and rifle through their pack, go ahead.
Nice. Yeah.
You can be garbage people. It's not a problem.
It's a goofy game. I think
Yeah.
introducing it with the Bacchus clone goddess with the clutching pearls and the thing, I think that sets the tone well.
Yes. maybe that should be the image for the.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
And she's got a very like I don't know. Her name sounds like she would be like some orc god. No, it's Graggle.
That's
Graggle.
awesome. Graggle.
Her name is Graggle.
Anyway. Maybe by the time we get to later campaigns, Graggle is an orc goddess. Who knows?
That's true. Yeah, she totally could be.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think that's it.
I think so.
That's what we got. All right. I'm going to end it. Where's the
Okay.
thing?
I don't know.
There one. Yeah! Hit the right one the first time.
Oh, I had to do an announcement real quick, actually. Sorry. If you supported Decima, everything has been printed. They are sitting at the warehouse and are going to start shipping hopefully in the next week. So I have a massive spreadsheet that I'm updating with everyone's information that I'm going to be sending there, that they will then be shipping out with all that information. So that's my project this weekend. And then
Excellent.
Decima will be in people's hands. It's very exciting.
And then you're done with it.
I'm done.
And you can move on to the next.
Yeah, well, I've already kind of moved on to the next,
Right.
but actually making the next thing, yes, it's very exciting.
Big sigh of relief that it's going to ship and that this one is finished.
Done with that,
Right.
already very excited about that. So.
Excellent.
And they're beautiful. They're really high quality printing. I'm very excited about it.
Excellent. Yeah, I saw your proofs. They were fantastic.
Yeah, they're beautiful and just
Good artwork, too.
Yeah, Samantha's art just
Yeah.
beautiful. It pops so nicely. She's just fantastic. I love her.
One small word of advice. If you're going to eat salted garlic chips, which are like these freeze-dried like garlic cloves, don't have it be the first thing you eat in the morning. Just saying. Wow.
Yeah, everyone's wondering why I'm sitting over here.
And and my burps have been like, wow, that's still a lot of garlic. I had one little one.
Yep.
I'm like, oh God, these are so good. I can't wait to like grind them up and cook something with them. Oh my God. But yeah.
All right.
We're listeners of Happy Jacks RPG Pod.
Thank you for joining us for season 28, episode 19 of Happy Jacks RPG Podcast. My name is Drew.
My name is Kidney.
And we'll see you next week, Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, right here, happyjacks.org/live.
Woohoo!
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
From Michigan to Australia and maybe East Timor, be it red, so exalted, GURPS or Dungeons and Dragons, hero, pathfinder, fate or savage lands, evil plots will be usurping, though we could do with less burping. Happy Jack's podcast will be douchebags all.
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.
Bum, 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 bum.